What the hell is Michigan doing when talking about this private equity deal that's worth $2.4 billion to the Big Ten? And are Ohio State and Indiana going to meet not just in the Big Ten championship game, national championship game? Could that actually not happen? I'm really interested. And I wanted to ask my friends Ron and Kate to join me to answer these questions. And if you enjoy the conversation, and you will, I want you to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, tell me nice things, tell us good things. You tell me bad things, you might not get to comment later. Do we understand each other? Good. Ron, Kate. Okay, Kate, are you? I think you should just be doing this like the whole time. Because what does that even say? This is Phantom Empire.
Phantom Empire, yeah. It's
It sounds like
yeah,
an old movie nobody needs to watch.
it is an old movie no one needs to watch. That is correct.
Um, Ron,
You
look,
are absolutely correct on that matter.
what, have you seen this?
This movie, yeah.
Yeah, Ron, you seen this movie?
No, my taste in movies kind of like starts at the 70s, and anything before that, I just don't have I don't much care for it. Not that that's bad, but it's like no, thank you, no, thank you.
But
Uh,
I thought you loved Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and Some Like It Hot and all those other movies.
Yes, I'm a person with layers. Like the Some Like It Hot, maybe one of my favorite movies of all time. Everybody go see it. You think that Marilyn Monroe is just like a poster, a bombshell? She's funny. She might be the funniest woman who ever lived. There it is. I said it.
I'm gonna sneak in there with Valley of the Dolls in 1969, but that's just me. Um,
Is that one? Okay, never mind. This is a football podcast. I was just about to say, well, if you think about it, that's more of a 1970s movie and blah, blah, blah.
uh, Ron and Kate are two of my favorite cinephiles, and we'll watch almost anything and give you an opinion about whether or not it's good. And you should really be here whenever they are trying to defend Ken Russell to me, who I will take apart over and over again.
And yet you still haven't
But
in
this is the
any
college football
way.
podcast, so we don't really get to. See, Kate ready, just drew the sword.
I'm just saying, you're like, I can take apart Ken Russell. It's like you've been saying that for like years, and you never have in any like appreciable way. So
Um,
just
look,
just saying.
one of the world's greatest handymen. Cool. Not gonna pay him to build me my house because he's gonna look at no. I don't want that good big old beautiful bunch of lumber over there. Give me them twigs. I want those.
And
Yeah.
then he'll make the most
I
beautiful movie
want to
you've
see
ever.
somebody. He turns straw into gold.
No,
That's what he does. You sound like a person that doesn't like
no,
gold.
no.
And that segues us back into football. RJ, who do you think has turned straw into gold?
Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think Michigan is trying to turn gold into straw. Like I dead ass. Okay, so this has kind of been an ongoing conversation, but I'm going to bring you up to speed very quickly. The Big Ten has secured $2.4 billion in funding via a private equity-like enterprise. It's the same enterprise that actually manages the pension and endowment of the University of California, right? So not small, something like $200 billion. And they're prepared to give $2.4 billion plus a lot up front to the Big Ten for a small part of their deal through grant of rights in 2036. 16 of the 18 Big Ten members are on board with this, but one loudly, University of Michigan, is not. Now, the University of Michigan, like Penn State and Ohio State, would get about 5% of the money that's being doled out, which is about $190 million of cash flow at a time when everybody wants stability. They want more money because revenue sharing is kicking everybody's ass. And now college football teams and programs and athletic departments also got to deal with inflation and, the price of labor and buying skilled labor. All these things coming into fruition. And the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, was actually tasked with doing this, and he came about what he thought was a good deal. But what is new about this is we have a Michigan regent in Jordan Acker who actually went on Sirius Radio to tell everybody, it sounds like some of y'all don't know how to run your finances and you want us to bail you out. So I found this to be kind of interesting. I'm going to give it the whole quote and then ask what you think in a broad sense. So he says, in as far as Michigan being opposed to it, along with USC, I think it's the right decision. Michigan has a lot of options. The possibility of independence for football, wow, is certainly something that has to be considered. Michigan is one of the founding members of the Big Ten, like 1890. Okay. Not today, but at the end of the grant of rights, which is in 2036, that's when the Fox deal is up. I think the NBC and CBS deals are up in like 7 years. I think it's something you have to think about, not because we want to leave the Big Ten Conference, because the commissioner's office has made it enormously clear that they're going to move forward with the proposed capital deal without us. And that would be the end of Michigan, as far as I can see, in the Big Ten Conference. So they're going to take their $190 million and stick it in escrow along with USC and dole out the rest. So I ask it to the two of you, knowing what private equity has done for most enterprises, can tell you media, it ain't been good. Do we expect this deal to strengthen the Big Ten in the long term? The short term, we know the answer. Long term being, now they have this money, they can kind of modernize and streamline their business and or try to squeeze more out of some value they're just leaving on the floor have been. That's the positive. The negative is, I think, everything we know about private equity. So first, I'm going to ask Kate what she thinks about this deal.
Well, okay, this is just me showing like my own like not knowing and stuff. Who is managing like who exactly is managing the private equity and who decides all of this, I guess is the right word.
UC Investments is managing the private equity. Again, they are primarily taking care of the University of California System's endowment pension fund. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of experience managing the money. But who gets to say whether or not the deal goes through is the Big Ten chancellors, presidents, commission.
Oh, I mean, I just don't see how this can be applied to all of these programs who have such diverse sort of setups, if that makes sense. Like, because you have, am I understanding it correctly? So like the private equity is going to support all of the teams in the Big Ten, right? Like that's the idea.
A better way of thinking of it, and the way that they've been positioning it, is private capital, right? Meaning it's a very small chunk that they're getting, but even that small chunk is worth it to them for the $2.4 billion.
But how is that being?
But it is being distributed to the universities inside the Big Ten to do with what they want. Now, most of that money will probably go to athletics across the board at each one of these schools, and you should view them each as members of the conference, but also in tiers, right? Meaning the more valuable programs are going to get more
money. Yeah, I guess that was kind of my curiosity is like, is it worth it to? I mean, I guess it is totally worth it for schools like
Rutgers.
Yeah, Maryland. like for schools Iowa. That normally, would not. But then what is like schools like Michigan's options if they don't buy in?
Well, that's what they're doing right now. They're saying we're going to sit it out, and we're not going to take any of this money, and we're also not going to take any part of this deal. So essentially, what they are saying is we don't need the money, and we don't like the deal, but we are members of the Big Ten Conference. So if you guys want to do the deal, we're not going to sign on with it, and we're not going to take any money, but we're also not going to get in the way until 2036 if that comes and goes. And this is where I think Ron help me here, because the league itself, right, with the 18 teams is always going to be viewed as one entity. And you're always going to have haves and have-nots in that. A great example of this in the SEC would be Vanderbilt for years, just kind of gets to be there. Nobody gives it any value in football. Mississippi State, Ole Miss for some years. Same thing is true of the Big Ten. So Michigan, we might say selfishly, but I don't think it's selfishly. It's just saying it's not a good deal for us. And they're going, but it's a good deal for the conference. And you're a member of the conference. So why not back the conference? And Michigan, who has always been a public university masquerading as a private one, just going, we don't care. We are the University of Michigan. And more, they seem like they are trying to outgrow the Big Ten, which again is wild because they're one of the founding members of one of the oldest conference, the oldest conference in college athletics. So again, I'm going to ask you, Ron, like, if you're Michigan, you can afford to sit this out. It sounds like you would, but going as far as to say we might lead the conference in 2036 as a regent, what's that look like?
Well, Michigan has never struck me as a university that ever needed money. They've said as much as if they don't want to be part of this private equity term, because unless something has happened recently, that Michigan turns a profit. Like, they make a lot of money through both athletic programs and just their alumni base. They got a lot of money in the bank. So if they're turning this down, it would seem that they don't need private equity to raise all ships. Because it would seem that if I'm reading this right, that they also think that it would sink all ships.
Yeah, and I'm going to complicate this just a little bit further and say Michigan is right now fighting $30 million in fines from the NCAA for advanced scouting and breaking the rule as it denotes their 2021, 2022, 2023 seasons. But money has also never been a big deal to them. What I find even more fascinating about this is that Penn State and Ohio State said, cool, bet. And they also don't need the money. Like, they're as rich as Michigan is.
But yeah, so that's kind of my, like, what is the motivation not to buy into it? If like I said, I'm probably showing like how much I don't.
No, it's like the motivation is we don't know what the unintended consequences of making this deal might be. It is the unknowns. There are more unknowns than knowns about the college football landscape. So you're betting on your ability to take this money and take this deal and make it work for you, not knowing exactly how the landscape is going to look even 5 years from now. And there's all of the evidence we have about private capital and private equity. Like, minority shareholders tend to be vocal and they tend to want to do things differently. And slowly, as they can, let's say in a publicly traded company, scoop up shares, they start making louder noises and make it harder for you to make deals and do business. This is what USC and Michigan are threatening, right? Tony Petitti does not look as powerful as he should. He's not able to move and make deals. Matter of fact, the way that I best put this is from one of my favorite movies, Ferrari, in which case Enzo has to make a deal with his wife, Laura, to sign over her portion of their company so that he singularly can go make a deal with Ford or anybody else, Fiat, if he needs to. And they're unwilling to deal with him without having all of that authority in his hand to make a deal. This is also what Michigan and USC are messing with. It's, wait, we already are viewed as the second best conference in the country, and we already are viewed as following up Greg Sankey. Do we really want to undermine our commissioner who put together this deal, who thinks it's good, and 16 of the 18 of us think it's good? So why are you holding out and making everybody look bad? And some of this, I think, comes down to because we can. Because we can. So the unintended and the unknowns of the answer to your question, a lot of this is also posturing, which I don't have a whole lot of patience for, especially in college football. But that was always the point of conferences, especially what, I tend to think of power conferences as TV conferences. Backstory on that is simple. When the NCAA was sued by Oklahoma and Georgia for the rights to negotiate its own contracts with television, then one, the television networks did not stop. They just said, hey, look, now that y'all can do that, what we think you should do is put together a conference where you have, and in a conference, you have to play each other annually. And then we can sell the hell out of that. Because at the time, Oklahoma and Nebraska played each other every single year. But what if Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, and Texas A&M played each other every single year? And that's going to be even more lucrative. Hence, the conferences continue to grow. Like the Big Ten was once, believe it or not, 10 teams. And it has since ballooned to 18 by keeping the name. Because you're thinking, okay, we can make more marquee matchups and we can sell those easier to a network because there's one person to deal with. Tony Petitti. Why would you want to undermine this in a way that they won't for, say, their deal with CBS, NBC, or Fox? Is that making sense?
No, it makes tons of sense. It doesn't seem like Michigan or like Tony Petitti is worried about the issues with that we understand with private equity. Like, I don't think that Michigan's going to end up like your favorite department store or restaurant where your burrito bowls get smaller. More so if you join this, you're locked into it. Like it is as much a obligation to the money as it is anything else. And if you would like to be free of it, what happens when the money gets bad? It seems like you're stuck in it until the money hits zero. Like there's no eject button.
Yes. And I think of it as a medium-term investment, right? And everybody's got good investments. They got bad investments. And if you think this is kind of investment that's going to torpedo your league or your university, you got bigger problems than being able to say yes or no to this money. But I just thought that was a good thing to sort of talk about, that I enjoy, because it is football. It is going to be the thing that powers a lot of this. And to the point about maybe Michigan could go independent, I don't think there's a network in the world that would not give Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, what have you, whatever they want in as far as a deal with them, like Notre Dame has with NBC. And it allows Notre Dame to quite literally move as one entity among a sea of, damn, we've all had to fly under the same flag. And it shows itself on the football field. While everybody else is trying to get into the college football playoff, Notre Dame sits pretty and might take that one at-large bid, and they were able to negotiate it that way because they're so damn popular and they're that integral to the sport. Is Michigan that popular?
What? This might be another stupid question, but what does this mean for, how to put this, like other athletics at the colleges, though?
I understand what you're getting at. Nothing. They're going to get. I mean, what I mean by nothing is it's $190 million to the school. Whatever they want to do with it is what they want to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's nothing mandated to say we have to fund Title IX and or Olympic sports under this deal, because the deal is about the football and men's basketball television rights.
Yeah. So that's sorry. Like I said, I was just kind of like, well, so like you could, in theory, like if you have like an amazing softball team, as an example, like
you can overpay them.
Yeah.
Yes. Like the highest paid softball player in the country makes $1 million a year. She's a pitcher at Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you value, right? Which can lead us into the people want to reopen the Sports Broadcasting Act to basically make the networks put the Olympic sports and women's sports on television. And they don't want to put things on television that people don't watch. It's a ratings business, right? So when we talk about taking care of other sports, I go, show me when that sport does business. If that sport does business, it makes money. So women's volleyball is featured on ESPN now. Women's basketball has been a really, really lucrative investment for ESPN because both of those things do business. That's the thing. So we're no longer in a space now where you feel compelled to take care of the rest of your athletes in the way that you used to, because we got name, image, and likeness, and we got revenue sharing. So they're going to get paid, and they're going to get paid commensurate with what they have to get paid. What I think is going on now, you're going to take a hard look at which one of your sports do business and what you got to do. Like Mike Gundy earlier today was promoting the Oklahoma State hockey team. That's right. You're going to have a hockey team. And he's wearing all his OSU gear, which is good, he's going to be OSU forever, no matter where he goes to coach next. But they got a hockey team coming online, right? I don't know that it's a women's hockey team or a men's hockey team or both. But are you going to take care of that program? Maybe.
Just to be clear, and is this a field hockey team or a ice hockey team?
Kate, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and use the Googles on that one because I could not care past the point that it was Mike Gundy saying that into his iPhone that we got a hockey team. And I'm thinking there's a hell of a way to make sure people know. Hadn't heard from this man in months, and you get him to pop out going, we got hockey now. It might be women's, it might be field hockey. It might be hell, they might be playing the guys at Mystery Alaska. Honestly, don't really care except to say they have to fund that now, right? Which is the point. And I think ice hockey is going to cost a little bit more than meat judging. Although, you win national championships when you can. I bet the chess team could do with a lot of money. And that's where I keep starting to take the piss out on some of this stuff, because Michigan also has a really great hockey team, along with I think a decent to good lacrosse team. And again, these are sports that don't really make any money for them, even when they're selling beer. But I wanted to put that in front of you because, well, Michigan can become even more valuable in a couple of weeks when they play Ohio State. But before I get to the Ohio State part of this, maybe the Fernando Mendoza part of this, I did want to ask you, as the chief Q&A officer on Adapt and Respond.
It is ice hockey, by the way.
Which team, women or men?
Men.
Okay, so no women's hockey.
Is it a club sport?
It could be, but I man, because Oklahoma's had a club team for years.
As the chief Q&A officer, I'm going to ask a not football question. Have you heard of chess boxing?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. You didn't answer me earlier, and so I was like,
yes, I've heard of chess boxing where you get to beat somebody up, and then oh no, I get to take a break and really take it to them on a chessboard.
Anyway,
now hold on. Am I to believe that this is a sport that mixes chess and boxing?
Boxing, yes. There's an international. There are two international organizations actually. You can become a world champion in chess boxing. Sorry.
Wow, they just make anything nowadays.
Good. It's really big in Russia, apparently.
You know what? Now that you mention it, it's also a good time to find out if and when there's a chess boxing event that we all could attend together, because I'm sure that's something you'd want to do.
Yes.
And I'm just going to put this over your face. Yeah. So we are extremely excited to partner with SeatGeek here on Adapt and Respond, where I'm going to open the SeatGeek app right now, and I'm going to see, is there a chess boxing event that all of us can go to? Because that is how Kate has chosen to use her power as Q&A officer.
You didn't answer me earlier. You were just
not as if we don't talk every day, but here we are. Chess boxing. Is it on the app? Damn. Wouldn't you know it? There is no listing for the World Championship of chess boxing. But you know what there is a listing for? Ohio State at Michigan. And I'm sure you who are watching this would love to go to Ohio State and Michigan to see them play at any time. This was going to be in Ann Arbor. So if you wanted to get 2 tickets to Ohio State at Michigan, you're looking at maybe section 11, row 65, seats 21, 22, right here on the SeatGeek app. And you pay $295 a piece plus fees with that, and you're golden. And I know you're golden because I used this app without SeatGeek knowing about it. And I bought tickets to the Billie Eilish concert, and I had to go through customer service to make sure I got my damn tickets on time, because the buyer's guarantee worked. That's why 77 million people download this app to use it to buy tickets. And I would also add the Billie Eilish tickets were not on another ticketing service where you might have been looking. So not only that, the offerings are even better. And if you download the app in the description or in the pinned comment, you get 10% off because as you see, it says adapt 10 for 10% off on your tickets at SeatGeek. Download the app. The promo code automatically loads so you can save $30 per ticket on your $295 tickets to see Ohio State and Michigan play. Use adapt 10. Go get your tickets. Maybe if you're good and if I don't see nothing nasty down here, you know who the hell I'm talking about. I might raffle off some tickets. Might do a sweepstakes over here to Ohio State and Michigan. So I want to hear all the nice and fun things about this podcast episode. Because if I don't hear the nice and fun things about this podcast episode, I'm going to be very upset. Oh, we lost Ron.
I think it was the chess boxing that got him.
Probably looking up.
Am I able to, qualify for the sweepstake? No, I'm joking.
Right. Well, I would like to think so, but
I would like to go watch.
Really, if I did it, I'd open it up to all 143,000 plus subscribers to the channel.
Yeah, I'm feeling I'm not going to win against those odds.
That's you got to want it. You got to want it. Let's see if Ron shows back up. If he does, we will put him back on the screen. If not, what else did you have to talk about over there?
Well, in a more serious chief Q&A officer, I was kind of curious as your thoughts about James Franklin being, what is it? What's the correct word? Emotional about?
Yes.
Okay.
Becoming the new head coach of Virginia.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It's a good adjective.
And I was just kind of curious as to why he was. Oh, there's Ron.
Ron, can we hear you? Well, if he pops in, he's got a microphone. He knows how to use it. You were saying, is it?
Oh, I was just kind of curious as to why he was, because reading this article. Yes, why he was emotional about going to Virginia Tech, and just what is kind of the backstory to that.
So he wanted to be a head coach again. He actually did not leave anybody any time to say otherwise. Soon as he got fired, he was on game day the next Saturday, which is one of the two biggest pregame shows in the nation, saying to anybody who would listen, I can't wait to coach again. Okay. I'm not just going to sit here with this buyout money. And Virginia Tech had fired its head coach earlier this season and had put together a really robust search to try to identify somebody like James Franklin that can bring them to the heights that Penn State was experiencing. The guy he's replacing was his former defensive coordinator in Brent Pry, who left Penn State to be the head coach at Virginia Tech, and the guy that was fired after 3 really bad seasons.
Okay. So
he needed to tell Brent Pry just what this meant to him and have a hearty conversation, because I'm sure he takes some responsibility and he wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't allow him to, I should say, take responsibility for Brent Pry's failings, but he probably thinks that. And to come over the top of the guy that, left you to take the job, didn't get it done, it's that. And again, James Franklin is just wanting to coach football, and I don't think he thought he would get a job like this as soon as he did at a place that really wants to invest. So, Ron, if you hear, and I want you to actually respond to this one if you can hear it, they're going to throw $230 million into their athletic budget on top of the $9 million annually that they're going to pay James Franklin. So knowing what Virginia Tech was when we were teenagers, do you think James Franklin can turn Virginia Tech into what Penn State was for basically the last decade, which is we're going to win 10, 11 games and we're going to play in New Year's Six bowls?
yes, there's no doubt in my mind that he could do that. If is that the level? Is that the ceiling that they want him to hit? Because I feel like that's aiming kind of low for a dude that you can pay $9 million. I don't think that if you're Virginia Tech,
Would you like me to tell you what Lincoln Riley's getting paid to coach USC?
Yeah, you beat that number.
11 million annually.
Lincoln Riley didn't get fired, so
not yet. But that's because the buyout is steep.
Look, how much is his buyout?
It's closer to
fiscally
90 million.
irresponsible.
Not close to 90 million. Well, A&M said $78 million. We got it. Hit the road, Jack.
So, RJ, what is my buyout as the chief Q&A officer for Adapt and Respond?
All the money I have on this desk.
How much is an appetizer of fried pickles?
Buyout.
About that much.
Look, again, I make this point as much as I make the point of how many coaches getting bought out. Mm-hmm. It's there so that nobody uses it. It's nuclear launch codes, man. That's what the buyout was invented to be, to provide some security and stability for a coach that always feels he's going to be on a knife's edge to get fired, right? You negotiate that going in because emotions run high, and when emotions are highest, money doesn't really matter. We're going to pay it to get you out of here because we don't like you. So you want to make that number so eye-wateringly large that nobody in their right mind wants to blow up the planet. And yet the number has not only become within reach, people seem to just got it in their couch cushions. So like there's a day when $50 million, no chance. Like the highest buyout in history in 2016, 2017 was Gus Malzahn with like 21 million. And we all thought that was enormous. What the hell are you doing paying him $21 million to go home? Edwards Orgeron got $17 million. Gundy's $15 million looks paltry. And to Ron's point about that seems like aiming low, I hear you, but also he made the college football playoff last year, and that's what everybody wants. Like
he is a good coach. I'm not saying that he isn't. It just feels like if
you said when they're where to go, where do you think you expect him to play in the national championship every other year?
I think that is what you hire him for. He is good, and you hope that you can get a season of greatness out of him. That's what I think when you hire him at Virginia Tech. So,
all right, let me ask Kate, who is a little bit newer to college football, this question, because this is what it comes down to when you're hiring James Franklin for me. Would you rather win 10 or 11 games every year or beat top 10 opponents and go 8-4?
Wouldn't it be better to consistently win?
Except that's exactly what James Franklin got fired for.
Oh.
His record against top 10 and top 15 opponents is something like 1-19. So to Ron's point, he's good and he wins games. But the games that he loses are against teams we think he should be competitive enough to beat from time to time. Having a 500 record against top 10 opponents, phenomenal. Great. We love it. It's good.
But just thinking about it from like a sort of school morale perspective, like, the people who are showing up in the stands, like
get tired of knowing where the ceiling is. And they're the reason
that makes sense.
That's the point. The point is they hit this glass ceiling for the last decade. Literally. Mm-hmm. They've been this good up until it fell off the rails with the UCLA loss. They had been consistently the team that you knew was going to win 9, 10, 11 games every year and be a top 10, even top 5 team without ever beating a top 10 or top 5 team, because you look up and you're like, damn, are we really going to hold that loss to Ohio State against them? That loss to Michigan against them? No. So they end up in New Year's Six Bowl. But if you were talking about winning championships, that means you got to beat that team. And Penn State got to a place, its alumni, its fans, its administration, where we don't like this anymore. We would rather blow it up and start over and tried to get through that glass ceiling in a year, 2, or 5. And when you got other people that have already done such a thing, right? Like Marcus Freeman became a head coach 2 years ago. 2 years ago? 3 years ago? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? 2022, 2023, 2024. By 2024, so his third year, he was playing in the national championship game, and he beat James Franklin in a game where James Franklin's Penn State should have beaten Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. And Marcus Freeman is a year older, I should say. He is your age. He is Ron's age. He is my contemporary. James Franklin is not, So when you see that
he
stuff,
in his like early 50s, I think.
James Franklin, yes. Just like Deion Sanders, who's not having a great year either. And that's the thing. It's all cyclical. So the reason I ask it that is the rational thing to say is we'd like to be good every year.
But I mean, what if this all blows up in their face? Like, what if they just suck? Like, what if Penn State sucks real bad?
Then we find more money,
because they have to
them to go away.
Mm.
So let me try to make this as circle of life as I can, and then we will take on one more question, because I think this is gonna be where we have to land, because it becomes circular. Indiana is very good. Indiana might win a national championship this year, which is, again, a wild thing to say out loud. Had my favorite quarterback of all time playing at Indiana, and I used to be in Ron's ear about him all the time because I thought I could do that. Not true. But point is, that was Indiana. Indiana, up until like literally last week, was the losingest football program in the history of the FBS. You could book them being bad. Curt Cignetti showed up last year, and immediately they became a winner. They won 11 games for the first time in school history after never winning more than 9. They got bounced by Notre Dame, and they got beat by Ohio State, which means they lost to the 2 teams that played for the national championship. Not too shabby. He turned over the roster again this year, and they're 11-0. And barring a catastrophic incident against Purdue, they will be perfect at the end of this season. When you have that going on, you look around and go, we want some of that. And I tell people, it took Indiana more than 100 years to get good. The way to do this is like Ohio State has. You hire a guy and you stick with him until it is untenable. Ohio State had something like 7 head coaches since 1955. It's not a job that comes open a lot, because it takes some doing to get fired. And the machine is so good, you're going to win 8 games every year. As a matter of fact, Ohio State has not had a season where they won fewer than 8 games since like 1963. Okay. On top of all of that, we're not going to live 100 years. Most of us. So we would like to see our college football team win something in our lifetime, which is another way of saying I can't wait for James Franklin to figure it out. Why? Because I'm dying here. Life is short. I want to win today. And when I saw all Indiana had to do was fire a guy and hit the lottery, I'm willing to play the lottery, because it beats the hell out of me sitting around waiting for something to happen. That is where none of us as college football fans want to live. I keep telling people I would like OU to win another national championship in my lifetime. The longer it goes without winning one, the further away that goal seems. So what do? We go, we're going to fire that guy. Why? Because he's running things. Well, give him some time. I don't have time. I got money. So he's gone. That is the long way of saying, yeah, man, everything you're saying makes sense. Why not wait? Why not just be happy with where you are? Look around. Isn't this furniture great? Isn't the house we live in great? No. I want to raise this house, and I want to go buy another house. You wait. You paid this house off. There's no mortgage to pay. There's only taxes. Yeah. But you know what? I'm tired of looking at the walls. Cool. You go ahead. You go deep underwater into debt, upside down on your house. You tell me how that goes. To your point of what if it doesn't work?
I think college football has already worked like this for such a long time, because every power team that gone on a run or had an amazing class of players and a string of championships and bowl games, all had like a lean year, all had lean times where they lost a Holiday Bowl 2 years in a row, and then they hired their coach, had a winning season, and then won a championship. It happened to, I don't say it happened to all of them, but it happens to almost every school of note. And I think that if you're already operating on the, all we got to do is just pull the lever one more time. Just gotta see if it comes up jackpot. Looking at Indiana makes you feel like, yeah, that's all you got to do. You just gotta pull the arm one more time.
So, do you guys? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I don't know if I have enough for another question on this topic.
Go ahead, Kate.
Okay. So do you feel like that there is more turnover this season of like coaches and players and not players, excuse me, of like, because it seems like there's been a lot of head coaches losing their jobs.
Everybody is getting fired, and it is unprecedented. Yeah.
Okay. That was my, because you know,
yes.
It's like I've said before, I'm paying like way more attention to college football than I have in previous season. I'm like, man, there's a whole lot of people getting fired. Is this normal? Like,
you also decided to become a college football fan at its most chaotic time.
I just don't, even the times where I was paying more attention to, you know, college football and stuff, I'm like, I don't feel like that I heard about this many people getting fired. So
and usually it's not that this many people are getting fired, it's that they're getting fired this early. Like the turnover, we didn't have a lot of turnover last year. Mostly because people didn't know what they were going to be working with, and a lot of this was front loaded. And now that you have revenue sharing online and people have their fiscal 2 and 5 year plans in place after this first round of payments going out, okay, cool, we get the money to do this, or we were planning to fire this guy. Now you're speeding up the timeline because you recognize that everybody else is going to be firing their guy. Usually that happens on what's called Black Monday, which is December 1st this year. You find out, okay, all these people got fired, right? Because we're going to go to try to find somebody else. What's different about this year, and even a few years back, is guys getting fired in September and October. Like that did not happen. But again, the reason that is happening, I think we talked about this a bit, the transfer portal opens up for 30 days for any one of those players on that roster to choose to go elsewhere because the school fired its head coach. You do that during the season, you have fewer players that are going to enter the transfer portal right away. So also there's that. And the reason that is important is if they enter the portal right away, they're no longer collecting a check from you. And now that they're getting paid to play, they will show up and play. As opposed to last year, and even the year before, you've had players that entered the transfer portal before a bowl game or before like the final game, and you might not even have enough to dress scholarship players. So Florida State famously had this happen after they got left out of the college football playoff in 2023. And they got destroyed by Georgia because they simply did not have enough players on scholarship to go. And you'll look around, you go, the University of Marshall had to cancel, I think, a game, because when Charles Huff took the job at Southern Miss, he also was recruiting some of the players that he had at Marshall to come with him. And they're like, what am I going to stay here for? Revenue share is not online, right? It's just NIL. So you either got that money monthly or you got that money bi-monthly or before the season, whatever. You got paid. So you get to go. Now that you get to dole out these checks and they're kind of tied to your academic semester, you're less likely to just quit in the middle of the season. So it's also ensuring that you can fulfill your obligation to conferences and television by putting teams that are competitive out onto the football field. So it's kind of a big old mess. But that's another reason why you've seen the turnover be so great so early. And it will get greater. Like we'll see more guys get fired. And we'll see many of the same men get rehired because they all have a skill set that everybody covets. And more people fewer people are less likely to try to let you figure this thing out through year 1 through year 2 with first year head coaches. So a James Franklin becomes even more valuable because, well, he knows how to do this. We know he knows how to do this. And he knows how to do this at a level that we want to achieve. So we're going to get on his wavelength and we're going to make it happen. That I find to be really, really interesting. Because how are we going to create newer coaches? And by the way, older coaches don't want to do it the new way. So you're getting this crop of coaches our age who are going, I didn't work my ass off to get here just to quit because the rules change. No, I'm going to figure it out. And they are. And because they're figuring it out, they're being extended. So like Rhett Lashley got a 6-year extension. Take him off the board. There's a couple other folks that got big old extensions because they've had Kurt Signetti, Indiana. He got a pay bump to $11 million a year. He made $135,000 as head coach in 2017. You do it, they pay you to stay. You don't do it, they pay you to leave. Either way, once you get to be a head coach, millionaire several times over. It's just whether or not you actually want to go home and cut your lawn.
I gotta be really in it to win it. I want to win. I get paid either way.
Yeah. Kate, what's your last question?
Well, I think that you've already kind of talked a little bit about Marcus Freeman.
Also, there's like 3 Notre Dame fans that listen to the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, TU did beat them that one time. It's the only Notre Dame thing that I have to say. No,
so they lost I think they lost to TU the year or 2 years before.
It was like
on the road.
it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2011, 2010. 2010 was my senior year.
Yeah.
GJ Kinney.
But my real question is like, so from what I understand, there's a lot of rumors about Marcus Freeman potentially leaving Notre Dame. And where would he go, I guess, is
why are you interested in Marcus Freeman leaving Notre Dame?
Because I've been paying more attention to it and it seemed interesting. Paying more attention to football news and it seemed interesting.
Okay.
And from what I understood, there's no reason for him to leave, but I may have misunderstood that.
No, there's never a reason for them to leave. Lincoln Riley didn't have any reason to leave OU. Brian Kelly didn't have any reason to leave Notre Dame. It's the famous anything is possible, so we'll throw it and see if it sticks against the wall. Being the head coach at Notre Dame is one of the best jobs in sports.
Yeah, I was the only reason you leave Notre Dame is because you really, really want to go to the SEC. That's it.
Well, no, I don't think it's okay. Let's.
I say you got to really want it.
No, I was just going to say, let's take our SEC Croakleys off and take off our contour belt for just a second and say you want to leave for the SEC. No, you want to go to a place where you think you can win a national championship. The SEC has.
That's what I said.
SEC Ron in the house, y'all. It just means more over there.
Catch me at Cafe Du Monde.
Marcus Freeman also went to Ohio State, graduated, was GA there. He worked for a guy who was also an Ohio State graduate at Cincinnati, who's now the head coach of Wisconsin. The reason Brian Kelly left Notre Dame is the same reason that James Franklin got fired. He got bored with being really, really good. And he said out loud, I want to win a national championship. I can't do that here. I can do that at LSU. Now, you've been paying attention to college football news. How did that work out for Brian Kelly?
Oh, man, that's gotten political.
If this is your stick, I'm down with it. I'm just saying. If this is what we're doing, we can do that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that's kind of how it ended. It is. It's so bad.
How it ended is they hired a guy who was down there for all the reason he says he doesn't want to recruit players to LSU. I'm just here to win the national championship and take your money. I'm not here because I love LSU. I'm not here because I want to play SEC football. I'm not here because I looked up and said, damn, it'd be cool if y'all gave me the number 7. or Jamar Chase was balling, or I want to be like Joe Burrow, or I think what Nick Saban did was really put this program on the map, and I would like to follow that legacy. He came down there with the most superficial attitude, and he got treated like he's got the most superficial attitude. When you from Massachusetts and you try to put on a Southern accent at a basketball game in your first introduction to the fans, yeah, dog, it ain't going to work out. And the worst part about this is it did. It's just him. He had a Heisman winner that got to the SEC championship game. He paid $1 million of his own money to get this team to come play for him, and they end up not being very good. After being number 3 in the country, Garrett Nussmeier might not even play in the finale for his career at LSU next week. All this to say, Marcus Freeman converted to Catholicism to be head coach, not to be, as a part of his being head coach at Notre Dame. And the only place I could see him leaving to go be a head coach is his alma mater. And the Ohio State job ain't coming open. So if he leaves Notre Dame, who has, again, the sweetest deal in college football, and will pay him as much as they possibly can to be a national champion, there's no better job for you to take. Like that's why I asked the question of like, why is Marcus Freeman getting thrown in here? There's no better job. Like, he's not going to be the head coach at Ohio State. He's not going to be the head coach at Georgia or Alabama. And as you said, it's gotten political. Who the hell really wants to be the head coach at LSU? Because you're going to get fired. You might win a national championship, you're going to get fired. And we are human beings, which is to say, first instinct is not a positive one. First instinct is not, damn, this could be really cool. It was real fun. The first instinct is this going to kill me? Can I eat it? Is it going to kill me? Brian Kelly, 3 things get you jobs: be on time, have people like you, be good at your job. He was down one of them things already, and then he was down to 1 when he wasn't no good at his job.
You gotta have 2. You always have to have 2.
Nobody liked that man from the jump. From the jump, nobody liked him. And I'm honest about, I'm honestly saying this to anybody that will listen. If you are head coach at a prominent high school or college, every single door in the entire country is there for you to knock on. There is no reason for you not to be liked. None. You just don't like us. And that is Brian Kelly's problem. So when, Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, that's another thing, Ron. You got me on this, like, jumping in this jukebox.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never coached below the Mason-Dixon line, don't start now. If you've never coached above the Mason-Dixon line, don't start now.
Are you saying that there's never been a worse time?
No. I'm saying know your limit. And you know what? Maybe you got to find it. Maybe you got to spin out. Maybe you got to crash to know where that is. But knowing your limit and knowing what you're capable of, man's ambition exceeds his reach. That is college football. No. The only guy that actually made that work going from the north side to the south side is the greatest college football coach of all time. Nick Saban is the only dude who made that work. He went from Michigan State to LSU. Michigan State to LSU, and was raised in West Virginia, coached at Kent State, coached at Ohio State, Navy, Toledo, never really ventured past that line and made it work because he saw it as clearly as you and I. I just want the best players at a time when the market inefficiency was, we just not going to recruit black dudes. Huh? That's how Michigan State became a power. 1966, Duffy Daugherty is going down to Texas to bring back dudes from the Golden Triangle, from Beaumont, from Port Arthur to play in East Lansing. And the Big Ten is like, what the hell is this? Notre Dame got on the program. Worked for them too. Marcus knows what's good. I hope he knows what's good for him. Dude, you have coached at He was defense coordinator at Cincinnati. No, linebackers coach at Ohio State. Linebackers coach and then defense coordinator at Cincinnati. Head coach at Notre Dame. So that man's basically coached in 2 states that are next to each other for like the last 15 years. And essentially has spent his football life as like his adult life in Ohio State or Indiana. Why in the blue hell would that man go to Pennsylvania, Louisiana, Florida? It's like, well, they got good players. They can recruit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, also, do you know how many kids he got?
Who, Marcus Freeman?
Yeah, that's a fun
I
one
saw
for
a
you, Kate.
picture. It looked like
No,
he got a
you
whole
go
lot.
ahead, Kate. You go ahead, Kate.
Well,
Look
he's
that one up.
Catholic, so.
No, but he wasn't. He was not before he had all the kids. Okay? He converted after he became head coach. By the way, he was defensive coordinator at Notre Dame when Brian Kelly was the head coach, and all they did was like, so Marcus, you want the job?
He named his oldest son Benny. Okay.
All right, Kate.
Has 6 children, by the way.
We have been talking for 26 minutes longer than we should have been.
This always happens, though.
And we didn't even get to Fernando Mendoza or Ohio State, but I will in another segment because you guys are nice and I love you. I say that. We'll see how nice you are. That is Creative Director Ron, Chief Q&A Officer Kate. If you like the show, and I know you did, subscribe, like, comment.
I like how threatening that is to just be like, you better like the show or nothing's going to happen.
Is my family. If I come into your house and I talk sideways about your family, I expect you to throw hands.
Tell me my baby is pretty. They're pretty, right? I got a pretty baby, right?
And I'm trying to tell y'all, you don't really want to find out what it looks like if you try me. Doses.
Good night or good day.
Night. Ron.
Take care.
You got to sign off? Take care. Okay.